Saturday Social is powered by EA Sports FIFA 23 with PlayStation.
We're going to talk something a bit different, Joe, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we've spoken a lot on this show about players and teams that are doing very well, but we feel there's been a lot of teams and players that are going a little bit under the radar this season. Certain teams that are exceeding their expectations. We can show you what I mean by looking at the Premier League tables. This is the current table as it stands, and as you can see, the likes of Fulham in 7th, Brighton in 8th, Brentford in 9th, all above Chelsea. So credit to those teams, and a lot of players within those and other clubs having amazing seasons. So it got us thinking about an underrated 11. So we're not talking your Sakas, your Kanes, your Rashfords, your De Bruynes. These are the players that are going a bit under the radar that have had amazing seasons. So we've tasked our guests with picking an underrated 11. The rules are simple. You put a player forward for every single position. Any disagreement, and I think they are actually disagreeing on every single position.
Is a disagreement.
Is a disagreement. So we will decide who goes on the Saturday Social whiteboard based on the best argument. What are we saying formation-wise?
I think 4-3-3 we'll stick with.
Yeah.
Stick with the 4-3-3, keep it very simple. Let's start with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So who do you think is the most underrated goalkeeper in the Premier League?
This season, all this season.
This season.
Well, there's only one, and that's going to have to be Aaron Ramsdale.
Well, there's two technically, because we're going for it.
Well, I'm going with Aaron Ramsdale. Just the fact that when Arsenal signed him, Arsenal fans did think, what's Arsenal doing? And secondly, if you've met his dad, I mean, his dad always...
I've not, to be honest.
He wears a dashiki. It's like an African costume. And he bought that for my auntie, and that's a fact.
Amazing.
I'm going with
No,
it.
you can't put it up yet. Whoa. I want to hear what Steven's shout
I'm
is
sure
first.
that looks amazing, but there's probably not a reason to put him on the board just yet. You know, I've gone for David Raya. I think he's a phenomenal guy. He's my FPL keeper, which of course matters. Just aggressive off the line. And I think Brighton's season would not be as good as it is without someone like him. You know, like he's a steady pair of hands. He can pass it out.
This is aggressive off the line, by the way. This is aggressive off the line.
They both are, man.
Ramsdale was underrated, though. When he's
like
England international.
I'd say, yeah.
But he's not number one, so he's underrated.
And to be fair, I think David Raya was in the 3 Spain keepers that went to
I was going to say, I mean, I think we all agree Ramsdale's having a brilliant season, but I'm not, is he underrated? I think most people rate him.
Have you tweeted him? Any of you tweeted him about Aaron Ramsdale yet?
No, I think to be fair, Aaron Ramsdale, he loves the show, doesn't he? Like, so if he's watching this, Aaron, we will pick you.
He's been brilliant all season, but he has been for ages. It's whether you think he's underrated.
I think he's underrated, personally. Do you think he's underrated?
I think he's Arsenal's keeper in the top of the league, so I don't know if he can be.
Is Aaron Ramsdale underrated as Arsenal's keeper?
Nobody talks about Ramsdale as being one of the best keepers in the league, is what I would suggest. And he is, like Specs says, top of the league, having a phenomenal season, and has definitely transformed how you play football. Not quite to the level Edison did, I don't think. But
also, David Raya,
when they play out from the back and stuff.
Most saves in the Premier League this season for David Raya.
He's also out of contract.
Yeah,
I think next season, isn't he? And I think he gave an
watch
exclusive
Arsenal
interview.
game. He'll be number one or something.
Kind of saying that he hadn't signed a new contract and was potentially thinking about moving on. Do we think he could play for a top 6 club?
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely could. He's got the quality. He's got the style of play. Good age. You know. I think Brentford are just remarkable in general about the way that they've done it. Thomas Frank's done a wonderful job, and to me, he could do a job at any level for any team. And
Go on, we need a decision. Do you want to pick this one, Joe?
I think it's David Raya.
Okay.
Boom.
The argument was very strong. Specs, I respect the garment.
Yeah, the garment.
I think the stats sold it.
I'm not saying his dad is in the documentary. It's brilliant.
Yeah, his dad in All or Nothing.
Let's go right back. Who have you gone with?
Right back. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Oh, I'll go with Kyle Walker-Peters. Versatility. I still don't understand why Tottenham got rid of him. You know, they say like Spurs, the academy. It's an academy player that Tottenham should have kept. He can play right back, left back.
He was an actual clone of Kyle Walker right there. You know what I mean? Like, and he just got rid of him anyway, yeah.
He is. So, yeah, that's the reasons why I picked Kyle Walker. Who did you go with?
I went for Tariq Lamptey. I know he's had a sort of difficult season, but it's mainly because of injuries. But I love players that have got a lot of heart, you know, and like also when you marry that with ability as well. Like he's tiny, he's pint-sized, but he's such an aggressive, intelligent footballer. Like with searing pace, he can offer so much down the right. He can even drift centrally a little bit. He's just a phenomenal footballer. I really like him. I think he's got so much spirit.
I think with this one, with the 2 top players, but obviously Tariq Lamptey hasn't featured much. A lot of his appearances, I think 17 of 20 have been off the bench. Kyle Walker-Peters plays a lot more regularly. So
that's why RT's underrated by Brighton.
He's underrated by deserving.
By Ghana. Yeah. Ghana didn't start Lamptey. World Cup.
By everyone. You know, what are they doing?
Kyle Walker-Peters, if he goes down, definitely getting picked up, isn't he? By a Premier League team?
Probably, top 6.
Should we go with Kyle Walker-Peters this one then?
Yeah. I mean, he would start for Tottenham, potentially.
Yes, they both would.
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
He'd be a contender to start for Tottenham anyway.
Good placement.
I know, it's wide. Go wide.
Okay, let's go to centre-backs then, because centre-backs, there is some good debate about. There's lots of names available here. Who have you two potentially putting forward?
I've gone for Lewis Dunk and Nathan Ake.
Nathan Ake?
I absolutely adore Nathan Ake. I do. I think he's. I think people think because the City's collection of centre-backs, Stones, Laporte, Diaz, Akanji, that this guy's our fifth choice, but he's been phenomenal this year. Like, genuinely, the consistency, the leadership, the bravery in his defending, and he's improved so much on the board as well. Like,
Would you say he's been your best centre-back this
year?
season?
Yes, he has. Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't think it's just because of his other injuries. He's just stepped up, man. Like, he never drops below 8 out of 10. And I think people haven't quite realised he's become a starter for City as well. Like, and to become a starter for Man City with the centre-backs that we've got, Diaz was on the bench for a long time because of him. And to me, Laporte will be on the bench as well when he's back because of Nathan Ake, and that to me is really impressive.
16 Premier League starts this season, you're right, that is the most in any of the 3 seasons since he's been at the club. You've got 2 different names, Specs, so you totally disagree.
Yeah, well, because what I liked, you went for a left-footed centre-back.
Well,
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So, it's Scott McKenna. But this one's personal, because on my managing game on the PC, I bought this guy from Aberdeen, and he won me the league. So I followed him. As I followed back. So hopefully I get a follow today. To go with Scott McKenna.
So if I can't deny Specs that, man. I can't deny that. I mean, you need to follow. So.
That is
Nathan,
a random reason.
If you're watching, Nathan,
To be fair, for us to put it together a bit, who's your other centre-back?
Exactly the same as you. I went with Lewis Dunk.
So
we picked the same centre-back.
Okay. So Lewis Dunk, we're flat out definitely going up then.
Yeah,
has to go up. You both picked him.
So it's your team, and if you both picked him...
So Lewis Dunk goes up. I mean, he is having Brighton as a whole, as a club.
The thing is as well, you look at that table, they've still got 3 games in hand. They can win the Champions League.
Are they legitimate top 4 contenders, Brighton? How they're playing football?
I hope so. Yeah. Especially if Man United drop out of that, well, definitely Brighton just come in. That would be...
Man United drop out of that, yeah.
Yeah, of course, after that 7-0 loss. But
he's been immense, hasn't he, Dunk?
Consistency, Dunk, definitely.
Okay.
But, it's the left centre-back.
I have to say... I know that you've got him on FM.
The Rock, come on.
You've got him on FM, and we'll give him the shout-out, so hopefully get a follow back. But Nathan Ake, for me, has just been
He's also ruled out with
that.
He's got hamstrings, isn't he, for 6 weeks as well. So the fact that he's out, I think Steve will...
But let's try and get... Let's get that campaign going, man. Let's get that campaign going.
Do we shout out Ben Mee? I think Ben Mee's had a really solid season.
Tim Ream as well.
Top scoring, defending the Premier League this season, Ben Mee. Most passes, touches, blocks, nail duels, one for Brentford. Tim Ream as well,
Tim Ream, I think Fulham are having a really underrated...
He's like 35 as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Tim Ream and Ben Mee, both of them unlucky not to be spoken about, so it's going to be give them a shout out.
Okay, left backs.
This is a good debate that we've got here. I've seen both of your names. Go on, reveal who you've got.
I've gone for Rico Henry.
And I've gone for Dan Burn.
I think 2 great shouts, personally.
Yeah, so do I.
It's the tallest left back I've ever seen.
I know.
And he can dance.
He's ridiculously tall, to be fair. That man's a giant.
But, I think Dan Burn, even at Brighton, this is consistency.
Yeah, I think Dan Burn, the move has just developed so perfectly for him. Going back to Newcastle, where he's from, finding a different role.
He was a centre-back.
I know.
Yeah.
So
versatile.
I've never seen, a player that tall push the left back.
No, he's done great. He's done great, and I would go for Rico Henry because I think he's a complete fullback. And to be honest, I'll take him at City. I think we're crying out.
What?
Yeah, we're crying out for a complete. We've got Cancelo, who's just he'll probably leave, because he's messed around, and Ake's filled in there. But Rico Henry, just the energy, the relentless drive forward. But to play for Brentford, you just need to be so physical but so technical at the same time, and he's such a smart footballing side that I feel like every player who plays for Brentford immediately gets a sign of approval of being an elite professional. Because the way that they play. You have to be just so focused and so dedicated, and you have to be really talented. And Rico Henry, I think, is criminally underrated. And I'm surprised a big team hasn't already come in for him.
I agree with that. I mean, I've spoken about Rico Henry many times on the show. I'm a big fan of him. I think he has gone under the radar quite a lot. And you speak to Brentford fans a lot. There's a lot of Brentford fans we work with, and they absolutely love Rico Henry. I do think, though, that Dan Burn is a brilliant shout based on the fact that he is a centre-back by trade, moved to that position and has been
and I think what's happened is like Newcastle's overperformance is like almost like been forgotten about now. To have that team up in 4th, Eddie Howe and some of the players, because they're not superstar players that have come in and transformed that team necessarily, other than Bruno. So a lot of players like Dan Burn. I think Dan Burn is like the face of that turnover.
Defensively is where they've been at their best.
You've got a left-footed centre-back there, though. Do you need another centre-back there? Do you need a full-back can get forward?
That's not a full-back, that's a wing-back. That's the thing.
You've got this guy covering, man, so it doesn't matter.
Do you know what? For
Corners,
me, I just love Dan Burn so much.
Let's go Dan Burn.
I love Dan Burn.
Let's go Dan Burn. Good debate, though. Two great.
But I do agree with you. I think
shouts.
Rico Henry is in for a big move. I think he could be in for a big
Honestly,
move.
taking the City. I think we need to
Let's go to midfielders then, shall we?
Should we do DM next? We've got 3 midfielders, so
I've gone for double. I've gone for double pivot.
Oh, double pivot. Okay. What's the
That's
double
what it
pivot
would
in there?
take, you know?
It's the holding, yeah?
Yeah, I've got 2 holding midfielders though.
Okay, so have I. So you're going to pick one as well?
I've gone. I'll show you. We've both got 2. We can play 2, can't we? In one.
Good, yeah. Potentially have one each.
Okay.
go on. So
I've gone for Palhinha and Norgard.
Okay.
So
Palhinha.
Palhinha's a great shout.
yeah, because he's so technically gifted as well. Like such a complete midfielder, and I just love him. I think he's got a little bit of bite, and I love players that've got ability, but also have a little bit of that nastiness to the game.
Although
as well.
already got 10 yellow cards, so he's banned for 2 games. He could be
I think actually Palhinha's been one of the most underrated players in the Premier League this
Absolutely.
season. If you watch Fulham play regularly, he's so consistent with them starts. All they get, I think he started 24 of 26 Premier League games. Most tackles in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
Technically very good. I think he has been, and I've actually said that on previous shows, for me, I think he's gone so under the radar. So I think that's a brilliant shout.
This guy for me, like some players revel in the storm. He is the storm, you know, like Christian Norgard. Like he brings so much physicality, intensity, and once again, I think Brentford style it just falls completely without someone like him at the heart of it. An excellent player who's made life so difficult. Like I've watched City play him, and just he's everywhere, man. He's just an immense player.
And Brentford's run is just incredible, isn't it? Who have you got?
I went with Palhinha and Iwobi. So, Harrison
That's
Reed.
Harrison Reed, yeah.
Now, the reason why Palhinha's had a good season because of Harrison Reed. He's the one that runs around and picks up all the mess for Palhinha. But no one talks about Harrison Reed for some reason.
I do have to say, Harrison Reed, I think, has been sensational. Alongside, but they complement each other.
Yeah, I agree.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Like what Harrison Reed doesn't have Palhinha carries through in the tackling, and then what Harrison Reed can offer in terms of progression and getting around the box.
So he makes Palhinha better.
So do you have 2 Fulham players in the midfield? It's
deserve
very
it.
possible. They balance each other very well in life.
I'm a fan of Iwobi though, to be fair, good player.
It will be for Everton for me. Again, another player that's been moved.
Yeah.
At Arsenal, he was, an inside forward. He's gone Everton.
Now
Played wide, and now he's playing centre mid. And he was there. Obviously, Everton haven't been great this season, but he, with his assists, I think he's top.
Yeah, he's got
5.
most goal involvements, chances created, and distance covered in the Premier League for Everton this season. So you're right, on a season that for Everton hasn't been.
But Everton have been poor.
But
that's not Iwobi's fault.
So you're saying, in your words, not been a great season for Everton, but he's been one of the standout
I would
players.
say the other 3 have proven, at a higher, like a more consistent level. They've helped their team be better. I mean,
Harrison Reed and Palhinha, I think they've started like 24, 25 games out of 26.
I think looking at you want the 2 Fulham lads together.
The 2 Fulham lads is
I'm
really
cool with
good
that.
balance.
You're happy with that as a balance?
Yeah, go for it, man.
There we go.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
So there's one other midfielder. We've got to be careful of the position in. I think they've gone a bit low on the board, haven't they?
Do some tactical shifts.
Third midfielder.
Third midfielder, yeah.
Stephen, you rearrange the board while Specs tells us who he's got.
There we go.
Specs is trying to find his players first.
Yeah.
I went for a good friend of mine,
Okay.
Jeffrey Schlupp.
Okay.
Mr. Slop.
Now, have you picked him because he's a good friend of yours, Specs? Actually having an under.
And when you're saying good friend,
We're very good friends,
Okay.
but honestly, I think he's had a great season at Crystal Palace. Another player again, who I've seen at fullback, wide, but now plays in the free at Palace, and I think his game has improved dramatically. Doesn't stop running. We need a left-footed player in there, and I'm going for Jeffrey Schlupp.
I've gone for Billing at Bournemouth. Really smart player. Really technical. I would say more technical, more creative than Schlupp personally, I reckon. A little bit of magic. And another player, he's just got... all these players which you've chosen, I think it's no coincidence that most of them are around teams who are on that 7th to 9th place, but they're there because of hard work once again.
Yeah.
But you can't just be there because of hard work. You've got to have a little bit of creativity and a bit of magic. And Billing... easily, in my opinion, Bournemouth star. I think he's been excellent.
I have to say, if we pick either of these splits, a very defensive midfield.
Yeah,
Billing's got a little bit of creativity.
Billing.
He's a bit. He can play in the free role a little bit.
He can, to be fair.
When I did the formation, I was thinking 4-3-3, but Schlupp, because he's versatile,
he is, to be fair, Billing is Bournemouth's top scorer this
five
year.
goals.
Yeah, he's good.
5 goals, yeah.
He's a good player.
What are we thinking of this one?
It's an interesting one,
He had a
isn't
good
it?
game against Arsenal, I can't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic against
Are
Arsenal.
you edging it with Billing because of the goals? Was that what you were...
He does score goals.
5 goals from midfield for Bournemouth this season is impressive, isn't it?
Done it.
Oh, Stephen's putting him up.
I thought that
There he
was
is.
a lot
There he is. He's up.
lot.
Okay,
I
3
tried.
players left. Should we do wide players then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's
you
do
gone with?
wide players.
I've got Nonto from Leeds, and I got Brennan Johnson from Forest.
2 great shouts.
All right, so the thing is, they both sort of prefer being on the left, but I just had to choose these guys because I love them.
Brennan Johnson, you've got as well, have you?
I got Brennan Johnson as well, yeah.
Well, he's going on in the end, so...
Yeah,
so
Brennan Johnson. Yeah, let's get Brennan Johnson up.
Put him on there, go for it.
So where's he going? Right,
I think he played on the right.
on the right.
Yeah.
Your team, Specs, wherever you want to play.
I really like Brennan Johnson, right? I like his general movement. It's a little bit of like, obviously he's not the same player, but do you remember when Lundberg was great with those runs in behind and so on, and like he's such a smart footballer, Brennan Johnson.
Some of his finishes recently have been
very good.
exceptional.
Top scorer, 9 scoring in all comps. He's also 7 Premier League goal involvements in 2023. Only Rashford and Haaland have more. So
that's very impressive. Another player that I don't think he's in your teams, but from Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White.
Yeah.
I just think he's a fabulous player. He could have been an involvement in here as well.
And if you remember at the time, a lot of people were very vocal on social about the fee that they paid for Morgan Gibbs-White, but actually what wasn't considered was the add-ons and actually the initial price, but actually what he's gone on to do, he's a technically very good player.
OK, on the other way, have either of you got Mitoma?
I don't think he's underrated anymore.
I just felt like I had too many Brighton players, so I wanted to have him, but I felt like he was a bit...
We've only got one Brighton player at the moment.
We've got one more.
Because I had Lamptey as well, haven't I?
Solly
Marsh. That's a good shout. I've gone for... But this guy he's electric.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous. Like, he reminds me a little bit of like Sean Wright-Phillips when he was at City. Like, fearless, pint-sized, bullish winger with an eye for goal. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar.
Yeah, his ceiling is very high, I think.
He's already capped for Italy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Was he 19, 20 or something?
Yeah.
It's his youngest ever scorer at age 18 and 200.
Solly March then. Talk to me about Solly.
He's just, I mean...
You love a versatile player,
I love a versatile player. Again, out of position. He was playing wing-back under Potter. Now he's back in his normal position under De Zerbi. I think he's... You saw against Liverpool, you saw the double.
This is an interesting one, because both, I think both fit the category.
Although Solly plays off the same wing as Brennan usually, doesn't he?
And what I would say is, Nonso, if you look at, I think where, as I say, his ceiling is so high.
He's a superstar, I reckon. He'll be a Champions League player, I reckon.
Should we go Nonso?
Yeah, Nonso it is.
Which leaves one
player, the striker.
The number 9.
I've just gone for a favourite of mine. I'm a massive Kelechi Iheanacho fan. I think, statistically, I can't find it, but I'm pretty certain he's in the top 10 goals per minute ratio in Premier League history over a certain amount of appearances, which is crazy.
But you see what he's doing, because he's a City fan and
he's just such a smart footballer. He just doesn't get the game time.
Nketiah?
I'm a Burnley fan.
I'm
a Burnley fan.
Who do you support this week?
What's the Burnley thing about anyway, man?
Oh, I love Burnley, man.
Yeah,
Burnley, they messed with me.
Basically, when Arsenal was struggling, Specs decided to be a fan on loan.
Yeah.
So ditched Arsenal and
Leicester for a time as well.
For a period of
Leicester.
I was at Leicester.
You are a bold man. I'll give you that. The internet was
There's no rules, man. Why do you not got MBE? But
Nketiah.
yeah. I think he like coming in when Gabriel Jesus was injured. Again, Arsenal fans like Robbie. Well, we need to get a strike. We need to get João Felix. And all of a sudden, this guy just started. He got the double against Manchester United, and then all of a sudden, nobody wanted a striker anymore. He doesn't get. I don't know. He doesn't get credit.
To be fair to Nketiah, it's 9 goals and 18 starts.
Yeah.
He's going at a really good rate for a player that I think, like Specs said, a lot of people weren't sure could fill the boots of Gabriel Jesus when he got injured, and he was injured for such a significant period of time that Nketiah has actually been great.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think Gabriel Jesus can get back in now. Honestly.
So Jesus is fit. When Jesus is fit, you start Nketiah over Jesus, do you?
Nketiah, he gives centre-backs problems.
100%, he said. Wow.
No, he doesn't. Arteta starts Jesus, absolutely.
He gave you problems.
He did, but Jesus is a better footballer by a long way. I love Jesus. I think he's great, and I'm gutted he went. This guy should be in the team anyway. I guarantee you. Do you know what's going to happen? You're probably going to pick Nketiah, but I guarantee in 2-3 years' time, he would have moved to somewhere in the Champions League and he's scoring 30 goals. He'd be playing for Dortmund.
What about this man?
Have you got there? Watkins.
Ollie Watkins.
I thought about
He's a really good shout, yeah. He was on my backup list as well.
Sensational season, especially since Emery's arrived. Since Emery's arrived, he's gone to a whole new level.
He looked really smart as well with his game.
I know, he's such an intelligent footballer. I think he's... But do you know what?
Team?
I think Eddie Nketiah, just because people didn't put any respect on his name when Gabriel Jesus...
You can't put
Nketiah. I'm relaxed.
You can't put Iheanacho over Eddie Nketiah.
So that is confirmation of their under-8 11. Quickly, managers. Who are you picking with? Again, 2 great shouts here, but I've just seen what you've... Have you gone Thomas Frank and
I've gone
De
Thomas
Zerbi?
Frank.
Yeah.
12 games unbeaten.
2 great shouts.
And leather jackets. I love his leather coats.
You do, actually. You wear a leather jacket.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, this is really tough to pick.
De Zerbi, though, like, I think what he's done since
Think he
Potter...
deserves it?
I think he's been wonderful, and I think he's deserves it. Oh, wow, mate.
I think you are, didn't you?
No, I'm glad you didn't clock it.
Like,
Thanks, Bex. Loved it, by the way. I didn't cut to me. Thank you, mate.
Can I be frank with you? That was terrible.
Oh, really?
Get me off this show.
Have you got one?
No. Okay.
For that alone, I think.
Thomas Frank or De Zerbi then?
I mean, if we're talking over the years, it has to be one.
Yeah.
Not someone that's just come in.
To be honest with you, I like De Zerbi's had a massive impact, but what Frank has done for that club and where he's taken that club and the infrastructure that he's put in place there.
Can I say, do you know how hard it is to do what he's done, though, given Potter leaving? And I think he's already started to change the game. Like, what Brighton did against City, they had more possession than we did. And he started doing this thing where he passes the ball around the back, but intentionally for ages. It's just to draw you in. But he does about 1 billion passes and near the centre-back because he wants them to love the ball in his own words.
He's so good.
And he's so smart. And the football is getting better for Brighton. And that's despite how good it was for Potter. And I think if they win the games in hand, which they will do, they'll be around the Champions League spot.
Imagine
and that's because of him and not
gets
Potter.
Brighton in the Champions League and we don't put him as the...
That's a big
It's
shot.
a huge risk. But then, Smithy, if Tottenham hire Thomas Frank and you don't put him there, you're in the mud.
It's interesting, to be fair, because I think both managers on that point will be linked with a lot of jobs because of the jobs they've both done at the respective clubs. But you want to go Thomas Frank because of longevity, you think?
I just think what Thomas Frank's done for Brentford over an extended period of time. I think De Zerbi is a sensational manager.
I think, we'll put this up in the comments. I think it'd be completely split with here. But if you're going longevity...
Let's go Thomas Frank.
Thomas Frank, top right on the board.
I do love Thomas Frank. So
there is confirmation. We're going to have a look at it. That is the underrated 11 of the Premier League and underrated manager. Let us know what you think of that at home.